My name is Mark Berham. I'm the Director of Information Technology for the City of Williamsburg, Virginia. We're a small city, about 200 total employees. I manage all facets of technology for the city, so whether it be hardware, software, I tease people if it's got an on-off switch, it belongs to me. I've been with the city about 15 years now. When I got there, it was as I would assume most places are 15 years ago. There was a lot of individual. The data resided with the owners, whereas now it's more structured back within the overall department. We manage the data for the entire city. So Williamsburg's been doing performance management work for a long time. Our recently retired city manager back in the late 70s did his master's work on performance management and local government. Fast forward up to about 94 is when we really kind of got started, and where most people got started. We started putting performance metrics and such into the budget document. So once it's in the budget document, we're publishing all this stuff out there, and everybody's taking an interest in it. And then the city manager at that point says, you know, we really need to extend this program. We really need to take all of this data and all of these individual measures and then make them publicly available. That happened in about 2010. So we started building these different reports and putting these reports out there, developed our own little small BI type platform where we could then build, you know, somewhat pretty dashboards. Looking back, they're not so pretty anymore. But then we did all that and got significant accolade for it. But we hit a wall. We hit a wall where our existing platforms couldn't take us any further. What we really wanted to do was to take that existing data that we have and better tell a story, and that's where we're at now. The beauty of Socrata is that it allows us to do that. The platform is designed to allow us to take our data, get our data into that platform, and then there's a myriad of ways we can then expose that data to the public. Working with Socrata as a company has been awesome. We've been with them for well over 2 years now. They understand what we're trying to do. They understand our business, and they understand through you know, their relationships with other. In my case, the benefit of them working with much larger organizations, I can then draw down on that experience, and they freely share that with me on how I can take Williamsburg and our data, which is significant to us, but then better tell that story using the examples that the Socrata folks are so willing to share with us. The citizens themselves, they expect to see this kind of data, and they've seen it for years. When we told them, when we went to council, and you know, we're talking about what our next steps were going to be with our performance management program, the citizens were like, well, you've already got something. Why are you going to, you know, to do something different? And our thought is that, you know, we're really good at taking all of this data and prettying it up in charts and graphs and putting it out there, but you have no context for it. You don't know what this data means to you, and this is where the Socrata platform is going to help you to better understand that data, why we believe it's important, and why you should think it's important to you in terms of your life as a citizen of Williamsburg, a business owner in Williamsburg, what have you. From a staff perspective, they love it because it's so much simpler to get data into the system and then extract that data back out of it. In the past, it was a process. Now it's pretty simple. They've got their little templates they work from. Once a month, they go in and they extract data out of the source system. It goes right into the Socrata platform, and everybody's done. Public safety data in terms of response time, police and fire, types of calls they go on. Whereas before, we had charts that had the same information on them. All of this data is out there, but it doesn't necessarily tell the underlying story of what's going on. When we switch to the Socrata platform, we're able to then contextualize that same data and have people better understand not only the response time, but the types of calls that, for example, firefighters are going on versus EMS calls. When you take a deeper look at that data, and then with that added benefit of context, then that allowed us to look and say, you know what, we're seeing so much percentage more, a higher percentage of our calls are just EMS related only. Why are we sending a fire truck, or why are we hiring firefighters when what we really need is EMT type personnel? And that's the benefit of that. That's how we've used that data to kind of get it into it, extract that data out of the system, and to inform us in terms of decision making. As an organization, because this is going to be added work, especially when you're a small local government. I don't have a performance office. I have an IT office. I have a planning department. You know, that's just added responsibility that comes to us. So I would say to take significant time and really understand what it is you need to be measuring, and why you're measuring, and the benefit that you hope to derive from that data. And then begin that process of measuring it. And then once you get the data into the platform, and then you can visualize that data and add that context, because the data is one thing, but that context is what really adds the value to that data. Once you can see that, then to me it's a no-brainer. In my perspective, it doesn't matter if you're a small organization or a large, federal bureaucracy. The data is what should be driving those decisions. As has been mentioned at many times at this conference, the one thing that government has, we have significant amounts of data. And then to use that to better make decisions, to better affect people's quality of lives, to better affect economic development, that's the game changer right there. We started off with the Socrata platform several years ago. When we went with it, the one thing we wanted to do is to ramp up our performance management efforts and make them better. But then we really wanted to take what we were doing in terms of our budget and the budget data that we have out there, and the expenditure data that we have out there, and further, get that out there, make it look a lot better, make it more useful for folks. We knew that we had to pull the budget piece back because we were in the middle of it. We were going to replace all of our financials. We're coming to the end of phase one of that financials, so the open budget piece is looking really good for us over the next year or two to take all of our financial data and really make it shine out there, make it useful for folks to see and to use as they see fit. The sad part about it is not every government, not every organization is willing to put all of this data out there and make it public. The organizations that are here, the governments that are represented here, are willing to do that, warts and all, and just put it out there and say, here we are, this is how we're doing, you tell us. And I think the citizens appreciate that.